Welcome back to the Make Love to You podcast. I'm your host, Darnell Davis, and right now we are in the middle of a very powerful series called Healing in Real Time. This series is different because I've literally opened up the door to my own healing journey, y'all. I'm talking about the tools, the guides, the voices that are helping me right now navigate through a season of pain and growth. In part one, we sat down with a psychotherapist to explore the power of giving pain a voice. And now in part two, we turn into a different kind of guidance, one that looks to the stars for perspective and timing. You see, astrology isn't about predicting the future, it's about holding up a mirror, showing us the seasons that we're in right now, the lessons that are rising to the surface, and why certain seasons of life feel so heavy. So let's turn the page and step into part two of Healing in Real Time. The mailman's here, got the vibe on cue. Talking about love like it's fresh and new. Self-care's the jam, yeah, that's the deal. Love yourself hard, let you. When I first thought about bringing astrology into this series, I'll be honest with y'all, a part of me hesitated because growing up for me, astrology was a bit taboo. It was something that I saw in the back of magazines or in a horoscope. Nothing about astrology felt deeply connected to my healing. But over time, I've come to understand that astrology is not about fortune telling, it's about context. It's about seeing a relationship between what's happening in the universe in reflection to what's happening in our own lives. And that's why I invited Deb McBride to be a part of this conversation. Deb is not just an astrologer, she's a certified quantum integration coach, she's a 5D Reiki master. Deb has a way of taking something that seems so abstract or distant and making it feel very personal and grounding. In this conversation, she's going to start off by looking at my chart. Not just as like a set of symbols or predictions, but more like a living map of the patterns, of the questions, of the possibilities that are shaping my life right now. My hope is that as you guys listen to this conversation, you'll be able to hear more than just astrology talk. You'll actually see reflections that might mirror your own journey. You'll see reminders that even when life feels uncertain or overwhelming, there are larger cycles at work and meanings to be found in the timing of our lives. So let's dive into this conversation with Deb right now. So it's such a pleasure to have you here. It's such a
Thank you.
pleasure. You're actually the first person that I reached out to when I felt myself going through this because it was during the full moon. I believe on
Yeah,
Sundays when I reached out
yeah.
to you, and it was the full moon, and I just was like, maybe Deb can tell me, what's going on exactly with me. And then this whole concept from our conversation, inviting all these other voices on, came about. So thank you so much for answering my texts, for always answering my calls, and for being here today. Thank you so much, Deb.
Oh, it's a pleasure. Thank you so much now. It's a pleasure to be here too. And thank you so much for inviting me.
I need you, and I know so many people are going to benefit from this conversation.
Great.
So just to reiterate basically everything that I told you over the weekend. I'm at a point in my life over the last year. I felt myself sliding. I felt a strong discomfort, for lack of better terms, and almost to a point where I felt like something was happening to me, something from another realm. I felt like somebody put some juju on me. I felt like, it was probably about 15 years ago, the first time I ever heard the term retrograde. And at that point, I really realized like, okay, the stars do have something to do with what's happening in our lives right now. So basically, what this is all about today is just to help me get a little clarity, help me find out where I should be shifting my energy, what exactly is happening to me. Am I the unluckiest person in the world?
No.
Why, why is all of this happening to me right now?
Well, it's great questions. And congratulations to you for being aware, feeling it, not brushing it under the carpet and owning it and being with it, because that's part of the game. That's part of the battle that we have to contend with when we are dealing with emotional stuff that surfaces as a result of, astrological transits, etc. So, as you and I mentioned the other night, you are having what is called a Chiron return. And what a return is, first of all, is when the planet that sits in your chart at a certain point has transited enough around the zodiac to come back and return to where it was when you were born. So that's a return. So every year on our birthday, which you're having this week, is our solar return. And the solar return is obviously the sun comes back around and comes back to conjunct itself in your horoscope, in your astrological chart. And so you hear the term many happy returns when people say happy birthday and many happy returns. They're referring to solar returns, which people probably don't realize. And I didn't realize till I became an astrologer.
I
So,
actually never heard that many happy returns,
oh, okay. I've heard
but
that.
it's good to know now. Like the whole Chiron returns in general is
Yeah.
brand new to me,
Yes.
and I'm
Well,
sure to a lot
return.
of people that's listening.
Okay, so returns are important because every year we have returns. We have the solar return, we have the Mercury return, the Venus return, and you can do an actual astrological chart for your Venus return, and people do them for solar returns, and it gives you a picture of what that planet's uh, archetype is about. So Venus is obviously love, money, it's what we desire. So if you do a Venus return and you look at your Venus return, you say, okay, at this Venus return, this is what the issues you're contending with or the things that you're looking for. And people do this every year for their solar return. But there are planets that have longer cycles. And one of them is Saturn, which we have a Saturn return when we're 29 years old. And then again, when we're about 58, 59 years old. And then every 29 years that we're alive. So the first Saturn return happens when we're about 29 to 30. And it's not a crisis so much as it becomes this, oh my God, I'm going to be 30 thing. And that's when everybody really does their real work in the world. They start to connect with what Saturn represents in their chart and how they start to unfold their real mission in their work.
It's
Now,
interesting that you say that about the 29th birthday
yeah,
because that is one of the most powerful. That was the first birthday that I've really felt something powerful happening.
right.
And
Sure.
I rationalized it to myself, thinking that this is right before I step into 30, and
Right.
30 is when shit get real.
Right.
That's the way I've
Exactly.
always seen it. So whenever I meet somebody and they tell me they're 29, I kind of get, the chills because I remember how scary that year was for me. At the same time, I was excited to get
Yeah.
into my 30s, but
Yeah.
it was a very scary year and it came with a lot of heavy decisions that I had to make. So now that makes sense that you're saying that that's when is it
Saturn
Saturn?
return.
Yes.
Saturn. So Saturn is the planet of reality. So when you said it gets real, yeah, that's when Saturn shows up 29 to
That's what it is.
30.
It's the planet of
Planet of
reality.
reality. Yes.
Uh,
And when you're scared because Saturn also deals with our fears and if we have anxiety about them and stuff. And but you are excited because you are going to turn 30 because 30s are great and we think that this is going to be a turning over a new leaf. We're going to be respected, which is also a Saturn keyword. We're going to be adults. It's really, I call it the entry into adulthood. And so, you are an adult, of course, once you're legal and where you live, but it does make a difference to reach that 29th year. So Saturn takes 29 years to go around the zodiac. Now, Chiron takes 50 years to go around the zodiac, and Chiron is not really a planet. It's what we call they can call it, the astronomers have dominion over this. They decide what it's going to be called. So I've seen it called a planetoid. I've seen it be called an asteroid. I think it's a comet now, a dwarf planet, but it doesn't have the status that other planets have, like Saturn. So when Chiron comes around at 50, you're
so
scratching your head.
Chiron is a physical thing.
Chiron's a physical thing.
Okay,
Chiron
okay.
is it's either a comet or a dwarf planet. And so when Chiron comes, Chiron in mythology is known as the wounded healer. And
Yes.
everyone is like, what's a wounded healer? And what that means, it's not a healer who was wounded and healed themselves. He was a healer. Chiron lived in a cave. Um, he was a centaur. He was half man, half horse. And so his mother from childhood in the mythology, she hid him away because she was embarrassed of him because he was born to her when another deity had turned himself into a horse and connected with her. And so she
So half man, half horse, Chiron.
half man, yeah. So he's a centaur. So he taught medicine. He studied medicine. He taught music. Chiron, we have the word chiropractor. So he was a healer and he taught music and he was this incredibly talented being that lived in a cave. And so people would go to see him to learn from him. And he was
This
half
is this,
god.
is this real or is this
Is
just a myth?
mythology. This is
Okay,
the
okay,
mythology,
okay, okay,
but Chiron is an entity in the sky.
okay.
So when in the myth he was a demigod. He was half god, half mortal because his mother was mortal.
Like me.
So right. Half half man, half god.
Like me. Okay.
Right. So then what happened with Chiron was that eventually he was out with the gods one night, I think partying, and somebody's arrow stung him in the leg, or he got injured as a result of frolicking with the other gods. And so he was in pain and he could not overcome his injury because he was a god. So they don't really they sustain these things and they don't die because they're a god, they're immortal, but then he was also half man, so he was suffering. So the gods don't really suffer, but so this
He's
poor
wounded.
Chiron had this injury, and so the other gods took empathy upon him and ended his life and sent him to the stars to be the constellation that is the centaur in the sky. So in the constellation, but Chiron is actually when it's he's a dwarf planet or a comet. And so when that wounded healer comes around in your chart, we deal with our wounds. Now we have a natal Chiron and we are dealing with our wounds at that natal Chiron all the time. So if you get a transit to Chiron, um, and something comes along like, Saturn, that's a long-term transit that comes along and sits on your Chiron, you're going to be feeling that Chiron a lot and the wounds and the emotions and the feelings of all of that. And then when we have the Chiron return, it becomes this obvious thing of what is my core wound? What is it that I'm dealing with here? And what am I like? What do I need to work with here now? And so, where Chiron's placement is in your chart, and you have it in Aries, Chiron is now in Aries, and you've been getting your Chiron return all year. So, when we have the Chiron return and we have to contend with our core wound and the layers of that. Now, obviously, someone like yourself who's been healing yourself your whole life, you've dealt with layers of this on and on. But now it comes time to like really look at that and work with it and, you know, send it off into the sunset. Now, it doesn't mean you're completely healed always. If you live to be 100, you're going to have another Chiron return. But you get to really deepen your experience and understand your wound. And I find that Chiron is complicated. I don't think it's like Saturn. I'm like, ta-da, I'm finished with my Saturn return. Chiron is like this oozing emotional thing that we have to contend with when we have our 50th birthday. So you have it in Aries. So Aries is a sign of the independent one, the initiator, the warrior, the leader. And so anything that is very independent, leadership oriented, any of that, you are going to confront your wounds around those topics. Leadership, um, how you lead your life. Also the experience of, your independence and authenticity and your autonomy. So those experiences for someone with Chiron and Aries are going to be what you're reviewing at this time. Because Aries is such the warrior, courageous person, when we have, and I know you're not an Aries, but when you're dealing with those themes in the sign of Aries and Chiron's there, it's like, well, where have I not been a courageous warrior? Where have I not been my authentic self? Where have I not felt safe? Or I got wounded in the process of being my authentic self.
So,
And
so these are the questions I should be asking myself right now.
yes, yes. Like what is the wound around your authenticity? If you showed yourself completely, freely to people, do they wound you? Do you get wounded by life and people when you show that authentic self? Are you people pleasing instead to not show that courageous warrior spirit that you have?
What I find is when I'm truly my authentic self, people love me, and then there's a small few that hate me. And the problem that I would always have as a child, I was always ask my mom, and I always tell the story. I would run home and, if I had a problem in school, I would tell my mom, this person doesn't like me, mom. And my
Right,
mom would always give me the same answer. Everybody's not going to like you. And I know that answer wasn't suffice for me because
right.
my next question was, why?
Of
Why
course.
doesn't that person like me? And I wanted to check, like if somebody doesn't like me, it must be something that I'm doing wrong. So let me change what I'm doing wrong so that
Right.
person will like me.
Right. But that's when you're people pleasing.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
So you
So, and I
have,
think that's also been a major fear of, creating 111 episodes of this podcast behind the microphone and
right.
not wanting to be seen because the fear of having that few people that are just like, I don't like him. It's better
Yeah.
for me to hide behind the mic. So that's why this whole season of me coming out in front of the mic, not just in front of the mic, but in front of everybody completely bare and naked, like this is what I'm going through right now.
Yeah. Yeah. Bearing your soul, bearing your authenticity, bearing who you really are. And that's the experience of Chiron and Aries is like, oh, I have to really step out there with all my courage and be who I am and loudly be who I am because Aries is not a quiet, shrinking violet sign. Aries is someone who wants to go out and be in the world and so that when it's
Just
in
to be
when
clear, when
Chiron,
you keep
yeah.
mentioning Aries, is that because that's where we are right now so far as the zodiac, or do I
That's
have
where
to
your Chiron is.
that me specifically
Yes, your
because of
Chiron
my
is in,
chart?
yes, your Chiron lives in Aries. Mine lives in Pisces because I'm older than you are. So I have Pisces, I have Chiron in Pisces. The generation people after you, they'll have it in Taurus. And then all around the zodiac,
So
people
it's because of my age or because of my birth date or what
because of your
exactly?
birth date, that's when you were born, and that's where Chiron was when you were born. So you know your sun sign. Everybody knows their sun sign. You know you're a Virgo, and that's easy to track. But the rest of the planets are not easy to track, and that's why we have astrology apps and things and books that tell us where the planets were, because everybody's different, and depending on the year, and these are generational things. Like I told you, your Saturn return. So your Saturn is one place in your chart, and that's the generation you were born with, the kids you grew up with, the ones you went to school with. Chiron is the same thing. Chiron is you all grew up with Chiron and Aries, all the kids in your classes, all the way through school. You all had Chiron and Aries because that was the generation, because Chiron moves very slowly. When planets move slowly, more people have that planet in a particular place in the
Just to
zodiac.
be clear, how long does this generation last? Is this generation 10 years or
Depends on the planet you're looking at. So if you're looking at Pluto, Pluto takes 250 years to go around the zodiac. So when we're looking at Pluto, we have and the planet's orbits are uneven. They are what we call elliptical. So they don't move in a circle, they move in an ellipse. They move in, like, some places they're narrower, some places they're wider. And so Chiron spends a lot of time in Aries spent a lot of time in Aquarius. When I had it there, it didn't spend a lot of time at all in Scorpio. So this is the nature of it's their rhythm is different, and every planet's rhythm is different. So Pluto takes 250 years to go around
So,
the zone.
so this is making a lot of sense right now because one of the major things, aside from depression, that I was feeling was rejection.
Right.
And if we're talking about my original wound,
Yeah.
then knowing that as a child, all throughout my life, I want to know why this person doesn't like me. I
Sure.
want that person to like me. I want to change this about me, which now I don't care about because I've accepted the fact that everybody's not going to like me.
Right.
But is that is that why I'm feeling this sense of rejection right now?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Because
Absolutely.
Chiron's making me face this again. Well, can't I
Yes.
just tell Chiron, like, all right, I get it. You can stop making me feel this way.
No, it would,
Like,
wouldn't that be lovely?
I mean, we
Because
okay, got the lesson. Can we move on now
right.
to
Well,
the
you know
happier
what?
times?
Healing is a spiral. Healing is a spiral. It's not linear, and we expect things to be linear in our lives, and they're not. They go like this. It's a spiral. So you're coming around the bend again, and you're feeling the Chiron return, and then it'll lighten up for a few weeks or a couple of months, and then you'll feel it again because it's an ongoing long process.
So what can
Because
I do to prepare? Like, I'm sure the more aware I am of it, the less it will affect me the way it's
sure,
affecting me right now. So where
sure.
should I be focusing my energy? Where should I be directing my energy right now? Like I
Well,
acknowledge it, I'm aware, okay, this is my original wound. Now
right.
I'm facing it. Now I'm
Right.
absorbing it.
Right. But you're also like, so there's the Chiron return, and then there's other things going on for everyone and for you, of course. That's only one component of it. But the Chiron return, you want to you focus on, okay, everything that you just described. Well, I wanted to know why people didn't like me. Now I've accepted it. So that's one level of acceptance, but there's other deeper levels of self-acceptance that need to happen during a Chiron return in Aries where you have it. So the self-acceptance, despite the wound, despite whatever you grew up with, all of it, the self-love and self-acceptance. So the self-love podcast is really right spot on.
I'm walking in my path, I'm doing the right things.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And also helping others by doing that. And so, I think Chiron is very humbling to all of us because everybody's wounded. Nobody is wound free, And so you can do anything that feels healing and good to you. You can do breath work, you can do meditation, you can, anybody could go see a therapist or see their practitioner to move through the Chiron experience, you know?
I mean, that's the beautiful thing about this episode because I've had a conversation now with you. I've had a conversation with a medicine man. I've had a conversation with a priest
Hmm.
right before you. And I've had a conversation with a therapist. The next conversation is going to be with a comedian to help me find some humor in all this misery.
Absolutely.
So I guess what I'm looking for right now is there an ending? I want to find a little bit of hope, a little bit of optimism out of this whole thing.
Right, right. And so when, oh yes, all the cycles end. They all end. They all, you get a Pluto transit, it ends. Your Saturn return, it ends. They all have their time that they spend with us. Each planet, each heavenly body spends a certain amount of time with us, and then it moves on. And then
So right now, the cycle that I'm in right now is my Chiron return. Which one
absolutely.
is do you know which one is coming after this?
Well, there's lots of different cycles coming. You'll probably have,
Are any of
okay,
them good, Deb?
yeah, of course there
Are any
are.
of them happy cycles?
Happy cycles. Well, look, you're having your solar return on Friday. So that's really good. So there we are with the sun coming back to you. And you're going to have your Venus return in like a couple of weeks because you have Venus in Leo, and that's where Venus is right now. So that's really nice. So yes, these things are, and things are good for you. There's lots of stuff that's really good. It's just that you're getting kind of slammed a bit right now because the eclipse was on your sun. So that eclipse, like part of the eclipse, the sun part of the eclipse was on your sun. And then there's the moon, which was
Can
opposite
you
your
can you can
sun.
you break that down just in a quick layman
Okay,
terms? You
sure.
said that the eclipse was on my sun.
Right.
Go ahead.
So the sun is coming back around. So the sun was in part eclipses are either sun and moon together in one place, sun and moon opposite. This is opposite for you because the moon is opposite your sun and the sun was on your sun. So this was like all bringing your sun, your life force, your vitality into this eclipse. So if you aren't feeling like yourself and your usual cheery, energetic self, go take some time out, spend some time healing yourself, go do something beautiful on the beach, just enjoy yourself, self-nurturing, self-care, self-love. And so that's a good thing to do during the eclipse. But also it's highlighting some part of yourself and your life going forward. Like, what do you want to change right now? Eclipse energy is very powerful to like sit down and set intention and make some changes, you know?
So to mark my checklist, one is recognize this wound that I'm dealing with. The second is, what did you just say right now? Just focusing on what I want to do next, the things that I
Right.
want to change.
Yes.
Set intention. Uh-huh.
Right. Yeah. Set intention for what you want next.
Okay.
And be aware, stay aware. You know, Chiron return is going to last a little while. It's going to go. So you heard about retrograde. You mentioned retrograde.
Yeah.
Retrogrades take time, and they encourage us to do the different layers of healing. So your Chiron return is going to continue into next year, but there's going to be times like around the holidays and stuff when Chiron will step back and not be retrograding over your Chiron. It will come back again next April, May, and then it'll be finished with you. But you've got it really strong right
That
now.
that 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 really helps. If I know, if I can
Yes,
be prepared mentally and
yes,
spiritually and emotionally for when it's coming, because I was blindsided.
right,
I think the
sure,
last time we talked, I had no idea that this was coming.
right,
So this completely blindsided me. But this is so helpful to conversation because it's giving explanation to so many things.
sure.
And ironically, it all falls in line with the other conversations that I've had with the medicine,
Okay, good.
with the priest, with the
Sure.
therapist, everything that you're saying. I can't wait for you to see this episode so you can see how what everybody is saying, it kind of sits right on top of each other. So, I mean, that's the most powerful thing for me. If I, like, you giving me so much, but if I had one key thing to focus on, is there one specific key thing that I can focus on, or is just the array of the whole pot that I'm sitting in right now?
For your Chiron return right
Yes.
now, I
Yes.
would say self-acceptance and self-love.
Okay. Okay.
I would say a deep sense of self-acceptance and self-love and um understanding, you know, you know a good deal about your wound, but understanding your wound and understanding uh you know when it gets triggered, how it gets triggered too.
Okay.
You'll have opportunities now to see, "Oh, okay, my interaction with that person made me feel like I feel triggered. I feel triggered." And then that's a key answer as to, okay, that's one of the things that makes me feel triggered. It's like they're not, and you want other people to accept you too, you know? So that's part of it.
I think one of the things that my medicine man told me was that I keep trying to revisit the old life, the old me that has died already. And it's
Sure.
time for me to move on. And when you just said that, I'm scurrying in my brain. I'm thinking, what triggers it? What triggers it? And that's exactly what triggers it. When I
It's
feel that sense of rejection, when I try to go back to forms of my old life, because
right.
that's what I'm used to. That's how I'm used to making money. That's how I'm used to be. That's who Nelly is. And
Right,
that's
right,
where I
right.
feel like I'm being rejected.
Right, right. And it's not so much rejection as it's not rejection, it's you've outgrown it. You're a bigger person. You're a wider personality. Your frequency doesn't align with that frequency anymore.
Wow, that makes so much sense, Deb. Really, it does.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what it is. And it's not rejection. People aren't kicking you out. They're just you just don't you knew when it was time to leave, you left, and then now you're trying to get it back. Sometimes we can go back to things, but it's really where you are now and where you're going next.
Yeah, it's so that what you just said right there was so powerful because that is I don't know if you remember, but I've lived all over the world. I've lived in
Right.
many countries, and I always leave because I know that's when it's time to go.
Right.
And, a lot of times too, to be honest with you, I feel like I was supposed to leave Miami Beach.
Hmm.
This is the longest I've lived anywhere in my life. I've been here for 13 years.
Hmm.
And I felt like it was time to leave. And I went to London. And I think it just got too cold in London. So I came back.
Yeah.
And I feel like that might even be one of the reasons why I'm feeling everything that I'm feeling right now as well, too, because I think I outgrew Miami Beach.
Well, your Chiron sits in the ninth house, and that is the house of travel and long distances and foreign countries.
It's
So
time to go.
yeah, but you have to decide where you're going. You have to,
I never, every country I've ever lived in, I never been to that country before I moved there. Like every single country, Australia, Qatar, London, Amsterdam. These aren't the countries, Netherlands, but every country that I've ever lived in, Istanbul, I never been there before I moved there. I just felt that that's where I was guided to go, and that's where I just.
okay. Well, then you have to just trust the universe and your sense of divinity within yourself as to
No, I
where
was telling you last year as well that I feel like I'm supposed to be right there where you are in Costa Rica.
it could be. It could be.
And I really feel strongly about that. I don't want the call to wrap up before we let people know how to get in contact with
Oh
you.
yeah.
I want to talk more about exactly. I want people to really understand. I mean, they've heard what you've done for me today, but I really want them to understand what this whole process, what you do is all about. Your resources, contact. Please talk to the people so they can reach out to you as well.
Well, thank you. So my website is thegoldenastrologer.com and golden for alchemy. And my Instagram is the Golden Astrologer. And my podcast is the Golden Astrologer, so it's all neatly branded. But on my website, you can go to book online and you can find the ways to get in touch with me if you want a session. So you can have an astrology session, you can get an astrocartography reports, you can get a Reiki session with me, which is lovely. And I also do mentoring, and that's there too. My podcast is I record it Sunday nights, but it's up after that Sunday evening and all week. And you can find that on my website as well. It says podcast on my website. And you can also find it elsewhere where podcasts are distributed, like Spotify and Apple and Amazon. And when I meet with a client, I usually meet with them for 90 minutes
Mhm.
and we talk about their astrological chart. Some people don't know anything about it. Some people come and they are very well versed with their astrology, but it's an enlightening process for everyone to learn about their astrological chart and the energies that operate in their lives and how they can work with that to make a better experience of their life.
I appreciate it. I so appreciate it. Is there anything else that you think I need to know, on my little quest that I'm in right now? If not, I'm cool with it. I just want to
Uh,
make sure I sucked everything I can.
just go deep in the transformation, deep dive into the transformation, make that intention to heal your life, heal yourself, and do go in the direction of what serves you. If it's meditation, if it's holotropic breath work, whatever it is that you can, whatever tools you need to work with, then I would suggest go there. Meditation is great because you can just do it. You do it by
I'm actually
yourself at
right
home.
after this call, I'm headed to the spa right now, and that's usually where I do
Right.
my meditations inside the sauna. So that's where I'm headed to right now. So it's funny that you say that. Deb,
Yeah.
I love you so much. Like I
Love
said
you
again,
too.
thank you so much for answering the call. Thank you so much for being here with me. Thank you so much for sharing your golden light with everybody that's listening and looking at us right now. I love you. I love you. I love you. And I appreciate you.
Love you too. Thank you so much.
Bye bye, baby.
Bye bye.
I hope everybody enjoyed today's episode. And before we wrap, I just want to leave y'all with this. Healing is not a straight line, y'all. It's messy, it's layered, and most importantly, it's deeply personal. We all carry pain. We all face those moments in life that feel like they're just too heavy for us to bear by ourselves. And yet, simply noticing it, speaking it, honoring it, that's where real healing and understanding begins. Remember, you don't have to have all the answers. You don't need to rush. You just need to be willing to start. And healing starts when you give yourself permission to feel, when you give yourself permission to recognize what's really inside of you. And to support y'all in that process, I want to offer a little practice at the end of each episode. It's called a spirit ritual. It's something to help anchor you. It's something for you to reflect on. It's something for you to connect with that inner power and guidance that's already inside you. Here's your spirit ritual for today. Number one, I want you to find a space. I want you to sit somewhere quiet. I want you to close your eyes, and I want you to take 3 deep, slow breaths. I want you to let your body settle. Then I want you to reflect. I want you to ask yourself, what pain, what fear, what unresolved feeling am I ready to witness today? I simply want you to notice it. No judgment, just be aware of it. Number 3, I want you to affirm. I want you to whisper or think this to yourself. I honor my journey. I allow my pain to teach me. I open to the love and guidance that surrounds me. Then I want you to visualize. I want you to imagine a gentle, healing light surrounding your heart, softening tension, opening up space for compassion and acceptance. And finally, I want you to take 3 more deep breaths. When you're ready, I want you to open your eyes, carrying this awareness into your day. And notice in those moments where you can speak to your own pain with care. Remember, y'all, healing is not about perfection. It's about presence. It's about self-compassion. It's about allowing yourself to be guided by the wisdom that's already inside of you. Until the next episode, keep honoring your journey, keep witnessing your pain, and keep letting your heart lead the way. This is Make Love to You. I'm the Nell Man, and I love you.
The Nell Man's here, got the vibe on cue. Talking about love like it's fresh and new. Self-care's the jam, yeah, that's the deal. Love yourself hard, let your heart heal. Make love to you, it's the name of the game. Life's too short to live in shame. Love yourself.